I think you did a good job. Just you want to do.
I mean, if you want to cut it up a little bit, DeVal, you're gonna have to work your magic here, pal. Roma doesn't know what the fuck he's. Right, we have to redo it.
Okay. For Complex News, I'm Pierce Simpson. With NFL Wildcard Weekend wrapping up, we have to look forward to the divisional matchups. And the guy to my right, senior Complex Sports editor, Mr. Adam Caparell. Cap, how you doing, brother?
Oh, just hanging in there.
Just hanging in there. Adam, I know you looked at all the spreads, all the lines going into this weekend's matchups. We have to predict what may happen. Early on, what are you seeing with the lines and the spreads when it comes to the NFL division?
We are loving the Chargers getting 4 points up in New England. I think this is right for the dynasty to have a huge hit and beginning of the end here with old Tom Brady and Bill Belichick, the bane of my existence as a Jets fan, taking a huge L on Sunday up in New England. I can't wait for this game because I think the Patriots are going down in flames.
So that's my favorite thing. I knew you were going to come with the heat when we're talking about the divisional matchup of the playoffs, but you came in firing. Like, you just came in as like, the Patriots are going down.
Yeah, Patriots are going down.
So
put your money on the Chargers right now, getting 4 points, take a money line, load.
So let's get right into it. The New England Patriots will be hosting the LA Chargers this weekend in Foxborough. The LA Chargers beat up on the Baltimore Ravens this past weekend. A dominant performance against Lamar Jackson, so much so that despite the hot streak Lamar Jackson had, fans are booing him and asking for Joe Flacco to come in. So you feel like that same success they had against Lamar, who's a very elusive quarterback, will be the same against Tom Brady, who's more stationary.
Chargers have more talent on both sides of the ball, I think. I don't care the fact it's a road game because the Chargers play nothing but road games anyway in the garbage StubHub Center where they have their games here in LA. And listen, the cold weather doesn't really matter to me, and the fact that it's a 1 o'clock start on the East Coast with a West Coast team, like none of that matters. Like you have a ultra-talented quarterback who is savvy and a veteran, Phillip Rivers. You have more talent around. Chargers have the ability to get to Tom Brady, and what's the way you beat Tom Brady and the Patriots?
You beat him up.
Constant pressure. You beat him up. So it's like everything on paper sets up for the Chargers to easily pick off the Patriots. And maybe I'm worried just slightly that it seems too easy and just too duh for the Chargers to win. But there is absolutely no reason, unless Phillip Rivers throws 9 million interceptions, why the Chargers shouldn't be in the AFC Championship in a week.
This could be the end of the New England Patriots dynasty as we know it. Tom Brady is obviously in his 40s. He doesn't have a lot of contract status after this season. And if it's a first-round exit, there's a lot of questions in New England. But I want to go back to last week when the Chargers beat the Baltimore Ravens. They played Kodak Black in the locker room. Kodak was obviously rooting for his guy Lamar Jackson. He was on the sideline earlier this year. They're both from Broward County. Is that fair or foul, the fact that they played Kodak in the locker room?
Completely fair. I mean, the pettiness we've seen in locker rooms over this season, like you can go back to like Yankees and Red Sox.
Yeah.
And when the Yankees had the defeat of the Red Sox in Fenway, Aaron Judge was heard playing, New York in the locker room and walking out. And then when the Red Sox defeated the Yankees, they're blasting Frank Sinatra in the locker room. Right. So we're all for the pettiness. We're all for these teams taking shots at each other. Any way they can tweak someone, especially with audio coming out and songs. And there's a million examples we can go to in the rap game where you can get under a guy's skin. Teams should be doing that. Players should be doing that. We're all for the petty.
It was just funny that Kodak Black was playing and Phillip Rivers was just like around, not knowing, understanding what's going on. It's like he just was confused. He's like, it's a lot of N-words being said.
Kodak Black and he slapped him in the face.
Keeping things in the AFC, we have the Indianapolis Colts traveling to Kansas City to take on the Kansas City Chiefs. They'll be going against Patrick Mahomes, who many people believe is the league MVP.
He should be the MVP.
Over 5,000 yards and over 50 touchdowns in his second season in the NFL. But the Colts are coming off a dominant performance in Houston. They're on a roll. I think they won 10 of their last 11 games. Who you got in that contest?
Well, the question is, do you trust Andy Reid?
Andy Reid hasn't. Okay, no.
But serious, do you trust Andy Reid? I mean, we've seen his track record in the playoffs and completely brick these opportunities and these chances. And the Chiefs, I think, are 0-6 in the last 6 home playoff, and that goes back to 1994, before a lot of people were born watching this video. But still, it's like that kind of comes into play. The Chiefs have a track record of failing in the playoffs. Andy Reid has a track record of failing the playoffs, and you have a quarterback who has never been in this position before, with a lot of pressure, making his playoff debut. And if you go back historically, quarterbacks who are making their playoff debuts did not perform particularly well. And look at last weekend. Deshaun Watson, Lamar Jackson, Mitch Trubisky. None of those quarterbacks won. So, again, if you're going based on quarterbacks making a player performance, don't expect a big effort out of Pat Mahomes and the Chiefs. And therefore, Andrew Luck and the Colts, who have been playing lights out over the last, second half of the season, and certainly last week against the Texans, look out for another upset.
Best offensive line in the game.
For sure.
Kansas City Chiefs defense is horrendous. Obviously, they're going to be able to do some damage against that Kansas City defense.
That's why taking the Colts plus 5.5 is a smart play right now.
Cap, how much money have you lost or won?
Excuse me. No. Whoa. Back the truck up. We cleaned up last weekend in Wild Card Weekend.
you're cleaning up. You're good. You took
Yes, you should get on the bandwagon right now. You should be following the picks.
So far I take it you're taking the Colts in this game?
Yeah, 5.5 points at a time, yeah.
Okay, so you're taking underdogs in both games that we mentioned so far. You're taking the Chargers?
1,000,000%,
and you're taking the Colts?
Yes.
Okay, what about outright victories? Are you taking those too?
I think they're both worthy, but definitely the Chargers.
Okay.
So if you're a gambling man, as some of us are here on this panel, a money line playing the Chargers would definitely be the way to go.
Okay, so we have 2 down. I'm taking the Chargers in the first game. I'm also going with the Indianapolis Colts in the second game.
Okay,
I think
so you have 2 outright upsets.
Yes, because I think the Colts will just beat up on the Kansas City Chiefs. They'll win the time of possession. They'll run the ball as much as they can, and they'll just beat up the Kansas City Chiefs. So I'm taking the Colts in that matchup.
So next game, do you want to talk about a fan base invading this trash sports town known as Los Angeles that we currently reside in?
Oh, that's an outstanding segue because
I try here.
My Dallas Cowboys will be taking on the Los Angeles Rams in the divisional matchup. The Dallas Cowboys defeated the Seattle Seahawks at home. Now they're traveling to L.A. We were mentioning off camera, L.A. is a fickle sports town. And Fickle's being nice.
Fickle's the way you want to describe it?
Fickle's being nice. Okay. This is going to be a Cowboy.
That's the nicest, most PC way to describe it, but go ahead.
Throughout the season, we've seen the visiting teams travel well in L.A. Whether it's the Chargers or the Rams, we've seen the opposing team do well. The Eagles, it was pretty much a home game for them. The Packers, it was pretty much a home game for them. The Cowboys arguably have the largest fan base in the NFL, so obviously it's going to travel well to L.A. Do you think that would be a deciding factor in the game?
I wouldn't say deciding factor per se, because you can still, we're going to go, talent by talent, who has the better team. Yeah. There's injury issues with Todd Gurley and stuff like that, but from the perspective of the LA Coliseum being overwhelming the Cowboys, it's going to happen 1,000,000%. Being at the Rams-Eagles game earlier this season, the Sunday night game, like legit, that stadium was over 60% Eagles fans, and there were Eagles chants all over the place. The area was teeming with Eagles fans in jerseys, and every single time the Eagles made a great play, they outnumbered and were so much more boisterous than the Rams fans. So the fact that there's going to be little fan support, the fact that the Rams are coming in a little bit banged up in certain positions,
very banged up,
and maybe aren't as talented and maybe as cohesive as we thought they were going to be at this point in the season, there's no reason why the Cowboys can't make that a legit game and also pick off a top-seeded team, number 2 seed in the NFC playoffs, and pick up a win, I should say, on the road in the playoffs. That wouldn't be that surprising.
When you have a team that plays defense like the Cowboys do and predominantly runs the football like they do, that's a recipe to do well in adverse weather conditions. Also, you mentioned the banged-up Los Angeles Rams. Since Cooper Kupp tore his ACL, the offense has not been the same. Todd Gurley's MCL or knee issues that he's experienced since the Chicago game on Sunday night, it's kind of slowed down the offense a lot. He hasn't been in his MVP type form.
And you can say definitively, Jared Goff right now, at least the way he's been performing, the last 5-6 weeks of the season, he might be, actually might not be. I think he is probably the quarterback you trust least right now.
For sure.
Out of the 8 playoff teams left.
Yeah, now that I think of the names, the Tom Brady, it has to be.
Yeah.
He
has to be. He played down the stretch.
And he has not won a playoff game thus far in his career. They were 1 and done last year when they lost to the Falcons. Could very well be 1 and done again this year. I'm taking my Cowboys. Who you rolling?
Yeah, I mean, Cowboys right now are 8-point dogs.
Yeah.
Again, if you're a gambling man, no reason not to take the boys getting 8 points.
Yeah. And finally, in the NFC, we have the Philadelphia Eagles, who knocked off the Chicago Bears. The Chicago Bears were 12-4. The Philadelphia Eagles were 9-7 and limped into the playoffs. But Nick Foles, being Nick, was able to help them win the game, even though the kicker, Cody Parkey, missed the field goal, hit the uprights twice. They're moving on to New Orleans. What do you think about that matchup, Philly and the Saints?
It's interesting because Philly kind of got their doors blown off when they went down to New Orleans earlier this year. Yeah. We haven't seen the Saints perform at a peak level in several weeks, maybe back into November. So it's like, how much is there a rust issue, or is there just not cohesiveness the way kind of a la we saw with St. Louis, Los Angeles down the stretch? That kind of comes to the factor, and the fact the Eagles got in a hot streak in the final leg of the season, and Nick Foles has been playing really damn well.
Yeah.
Shockingly, again, getting it done.
Yeah.
But it's like, again, who am I going to put my money behind? Who would I actually trust in the situation?
Right.
Do you trust Drew Brees to get business done in the Superdome where he's basically unbeatable? Probably, yeah. I mean, it's like tough to really go against the Saints in this case.
The Saints didn't end the season too well. Obviously, Teddy Bridgewater started the final game of the year when they lost to Carolina Panthers. Got blown out in that game. I believe they only scored 1 touchdown. Jason Peters, the left tackle for the Eagles, said that the Saints ran up the score on them earlier this year. We'll see if that continues to carry on in this game this weekend, and Philly will be extra motivated.
I mean, it's tough to count out defending Super Bowl champs. I mean, when they're getting their shit together and the mojo is kind of gelling at the right moment, it's like, you kind of want to ride that hot wave and take the momentum and just take the hot team. But we know that the Saints probably are arguably the most well-rounded team of the bunch in the NFC right now, maybe if not in the entire playoffs. So if that defense comes to perform, if they can rattle Nick Foles a little bit, who's been tough to rattle, that being said, it would make for, I think, a definitive Saints victory. But sometimes weird stuff happens in the playoffs.
Absolutely.
Even games you think are guaranteed, weird stuff happens.
It's all about surviving. I think the thing that'll be the biggest key point in this game is the fact that Philadelphia Eagles secondary, they held it together against the Chicago Bears, but they gave up a lot of big plays. I'm thinking of Maddox on all the double moves he gave up to Allen Robinson in their game against the Chicago Bears. They're going against another type of beast in New Orleans Saints. So we'll see what happens, but I'm leaning towards the Saints in this matchup.
I probably am too, although it's a high number for the spread. The only question I have is how much Meek Mill will be played over the loudspeakers of the Superdome.
I don't think it'll be a lot played in New Orleans because
I think it's going to be a lot. If they're scoring a lot, I think it's going to be on repeat.
Oh, so if New Orleans is like blowing them out, they're like, hey, we're just going to play Meek.
Meek Mill's going to be blaring the entire time.
We gave you a recap of everything to look forward to this weekend in NFL Divisional Round of the playoffs. We made our picks. You made your picks. Hopefully, we'll see what happens. Until next time, Adam Caparell, I'm here, Simpson. This is Complex News.